welcome back to the Imaginary Gallery. It's TJ, your host, the Psychopath's Bag of Tricks, referencing Robert D Hare's book, Without Conscience, The Disturbing World of the Psychopaths Among Us. The last part of his section, Flies in the Web, is about distorting reality. Dr. Hare states, beyond the vicarious and generally safe experience of the dark side of human nature, the sad fact is that this creature's need for self-gratification is often easily satisfied because some people are quite willing to play the role of the victim. In a lot of cases, the victim or target simply refuses to believe that he or she is really being taken advantage of. For example, there was a husband of one of Dr. Hare's female psychopaths vehemently denied the credibility of reports from friends that his wife was cheating on him. He remained convinced that she was virtuous even after she ran off with another man. Psychological denial is an important mechanism for screening out painful knowledge from conscious awareness, but it can also blind us to truths that are very obvious to others. Some people are immune to the truth because they've distorted their own reality so much and make it conform to their idea of what everything should be. The former girlfriend of one of their psychopaths saw its criminal behavior as an expression of manliness and vitality. She looked at him and saw her fantasy of a near-perfect man, deeply sensitive, a mover and a shaker, a man not afraid of anything, as she put it. And of course, her projection of who he was fitted in perfectly with his self-image. Ladies who rigidly adhere to traditional feminine roles in their relationships with men are going to be in for a very difficult time if any of these men are psychopaths. In contrast, a psychopath married to a woman who has a strong sense of duty to be a good wife can have a very comfortable life. You see, with these creatures, the home will provide it with a reliable source of succor, a security base from which to carry out its schemes and to develop an unending series of short-term liaisons with other women. The long-suffering wife usually knows what's happening, but she feels that she must somehow maintain the integrity of the home, especially if there are kids involved. She may get the belief that if she just tries harder or just simply waits it out on this husband, he's going to reform. At the same time, the role in which she has cast herself reinforces her sense of guilt and blame for the unhappiness of this relationship. When he ignores, abuses, or cheats on her, she may say to herself,
I'm just going to try harder, put more energy into this relationship, take care of him better than any other woman ever could. When I do, he'll see how valuable I am to him. He'll treat me like a queen.
That's a distortion of reality. Dr. Hare tells us that in one case described to him by a forensic psychologist, J. Reed Malloy, a white-collar psychopath assaulted his wife and injured her seriously. Later, she wrote in a journal she made available to Malloy, quote,
he needs special care. I haven't been the wife I should have been, but I will. I'll turn back this anger into something strong and something good.
This lady's fierce commitment to this man and to being a loyal, proper wife had distorted her sense of reality and drained her of all of her self-confidence. Needless to say, the reality is that she's doomed to a lifetime full of disappointment and abuse. Unfortunately, much of the same can be said for any lady or man who has low self-esteem, strong feelings of dependency, and a lack of personal identity who becomes intimately involved with a psychopath. These creatures have little difficulty in making use of those people who feel physically or psychologically inadequate, or if they feel compelled to hold on to a relationship no matter how much it hurts. The last part of this section is a question. What chance do we have? With all this wonderful news, Dr. Hare says, by this time, many of the readers are likely to have the uneasy feeling that there is nothing they can do to protect themselves from any psychopath who may cross their path. However, even though most of the advantages lie with the creature, there are several things we can do to minimize the pain and the damage that they cause to us. As far as my own views on this chapter, Distorting Reality, I notice how he's talking about the fly that gets caught in the web, how they can be in denial, they don't want to accept that they're with a creature. Like the example, the husband just wouldn't believe it, which he must have been naive. Some people are immune to the truth, and they do distort reality. However, one thing he didn't cover in this section, the distortion of reality works two ways. The creature also has a way of distorting reality, which you'll notice if you ever try to apply logic to any of its ridiculous arguments once it's caught, usually, doing something it shouldn't. Because until that point, everything's roses for you, because you don't know what you're dealing with yet. And I think devaluing can start at that point too. A lot of times, it's when you start to catch on to the creature, and you start to see that it's a creature. Like you see one thing that goes on, and you say, hey, that was a terrible thing, and it will just explain it away, and you'll think, oh, well, maybe that's right. Maybe I was mistaken. But then it happens again, and then again. And the rule of three is, if it happens 3 times, this person is not worth the time. I've been in that situation where I've distorted reality. I was optimistic and thought this person was great at first. We just need to get back to that place. So I'll try to give some suggestions, and I had some kind of books, textbooks from school, books I've bought, magazine articles, whatever, and none of them ever worked. I would try to share these stories and say, look, remember the time you did A, B, and C? Well, look here. It says this person did A, B, and C, and that is wrong, and blah, blah, blah. The response I would get would be,
oh, for every book that says that, there's another book that says the opposite.
Which is a total lack of accountability. The person should be saying, oh, you're really upset about this? Oh, tell me more. No, it's,
I don't care if you're upset. I did what I did, and I'm going to do it again.
And that's the way it comes out with these creatures. I would be distorting reality by thinking I could just show it the way. And with these creatures, unfortunately, there is no showing anything. Because as far as they're concerned, you're goyim. You are an ant. You are there to serve their purpose and their purpose only, and you're not there to look in on what they're doing secretly. You're not to question them or ask other people about them. They really want to control you, which of course is not apparent at first because they're so fake with their lovey-dovey love bombing. They're the predator, and they use that to lure the prey in, and then once the prey's firmly in, then it switches masks and starts doing the other stuff. I've known of a few of these creatures who are similar to the one in here where he talks about the creature wanting someone to give that word I defined, succor, that it actually tells a story pretty much like I figured out on my own when I was dealing with one of these creatures and I knew its history up to the point that I met it. I remember saying, speculating, it might have been intuition, but I was just picking up on the facts I knew about,
oh, in the last few months I dated 5 people or
something like that. I'd think, you're just looking for a person you can use as like a home base. You can put your anchor down in, like he mentions in this chapter, where the partner may not even be the ideal partner, but if it's naive enough, trusting enough, it can get away with murder. I was involved in something like that, where I didn't question things and I gaslighted myself early on. That lasted a while until the end when the spell wore off and I started to notice the lies and would catch them red-handed in lies. Like the time I called it from down the street and saw it the whole time when it picked up its phone. It had the nerve to lie and say it couldn't talk on the phone. It was busy checking somebody out in the salon, and I was looking right at it outside the salon, and I drove right up to it, and its face was like,
what are you doing here?
I said, you're not checking anybody out. And it turned to its coworker.
I just did. I just finished, didn't I?
The coworker said, no. And I just laughed at it. But at the same time, I realized this is a skilled liar, and I never knew it. So I distorted reality. These creatures distort reality. It's common for the target to do so. In fact, many times there'll be a target that will come to you and tell you the terrible things that happened, and you'll think, oh, that's a red flag of terror. That's a problem. You should get away from that person. Oh, no, it apologized or something, and then you can't convince these people otherwise. You can just offer your opinion, but it doesn't mean that they're going to listen and leave. But in his chapter, there's another section in gray box. In an October of 1991 article for New Woman magazine titled The Con Man's New Victim, Kiki Olsen explored an unanticipated side effect of the steadily increasing entry of single ladies into the professional workforce. The single career lady who has or can borrow anywhere from $2,000 to $20,000 and is looking for love and money is a natural target for one of these con men. According to Joseph D. Casey, head of the Economic Crimes Unit of the Philadelphia DA's office, Olson reported, quote, the male con artist preying on the single working woman with expendable income will stalk his prey in places she frequents, singles bars, health clubs, and social clubs, places where single women congregate, looking for something more than a cocktail, a workout, or a dance. The con man will know who she is. He'll be able to spot a certain vulnerability. That's his job. While the woman he preys on for money, clothes, room and board, cars, and bank loans are obvious to him in any crowd, the con man makes himself indistinguishable from the legitimate suitor. Still, said Casey, quote,
"It's safe to say he's good-looking, charming, glib, self-assured, manipulative, and no doubt quite lovable."
Which is a sickening thing some of us will do. We'll overlook their red flag flaws that should be deal breakers and will continue to be under their spell, which I've learned is not a healthy way to be. The psychopath or the cluster B creature is a con person, man or woman, and it is true that these creatures pursue their prey kind of like it's a job. They've done it so many times, and they do look for that vulnerability. If you're friendly or you seem vulnerable or shy or believe in the good in people, you're the perfect target for these creatures because they're the most horrifying monster you could ever think of, but it's hidden under a mask that's mirroring you so you won't see it. You may pick up on hints that maybe it is evil privately. Any questions you have will be detected immediately by the tone of your question, and if you say, "Did you really do this?" it'll know, "Oh, that must be something bad." Oh,
No, I didn't.
even though they did, but they don't care. They just say what they need to say to get through the moment, to get the goal, or achieve the supply, and later, when questioned about these comments, it doesn't matter to them. So what? That's an old conversation. I got what I wanted. If you're involved with one of these creatures, the best thing to do, though, is to turn the other way, run, and don't look back. And look who's here. Oh, look who is here. It's Hero, the baby. Hero, did you get your toy? This is my new baby. Mwah.
I am the Narcopath, and I'm going to give some more confessions. How do you like that?
Now, when we first started to date, I noticed you were active in your church. I heard you criticize others for doing simple things that I do all the time, such as lying. But I just played the role, and when you complained about your best friend lying to you, I just said things like,
"Oh, that's terrible. A friend should never lie to another friend. You're not hanging around with the right people."
And of course you got hurt by that witch that came before me, and you were skeptical of anyone new, and I tried to tell you I'm just the one for you, that I'm not like those other people. You were still skeptical. I'm what you could call a con artist. That means I'm an automatic liar. I lie all the time, as we covered. I know that truth-telling seemed to be such a big deal to you. You were in tears that one day because you said your best friend lied to you, and you couldn't believe it because you found the proof, and of course I was right there by your side, telling you I would never lie to you. You shouldn't hang around her anymore. You should hang around me. I'll be a good friend to you. But as time went on, you noticed that I'd told him quite a few fibs and tall tales. You reminded me of our conversation in the beginning when I told you no one should ever lie to you. And you made such a big deal about it. And my thoughts were, honey, it's just a lie. It got me what I wanted. What's the big deal? But I couldn't lose you at that point, so I just told you, so what? I lied. I had to lie because I was abused as a child. You wouldn't understand. And that got a pity out of you. That got you to feel guilty for even asking. Of course, it only lasted a day or two, and then you were bringing it up again. I acted really upset, and you didn't want me upset. Point was, I didn't want you bringing that stuff up. Sure, I said I didn't lie because you were distressed over your best friend's lies, and I wanted to be your best friend. So I simply took what you didn't like and said, oh, well, that's not a part of me, so let's get together and be good friends. And it worked for a while. I didn't expect you to go checking up on me and asking people questions. At first I told you that's weird. You shouldn't be asking other people about me. They don't know what they're talking about. They're just jealous. But you kept asking, and then when you saw the hidden camera footage, of course, my goose was cooked. I quickly found a reason to dump you and just told everybody that you cheated. They bought it. And they're not talking to you now either, are they? I'm the queen, and you are an ant that I will smash with my heel.
And I never liked it when you tried to put me down by talking to me about the fact that I'd lied to you so many times. You kept bringing up that I said that I never lied before, and...
Honey, I said that to get what I needed for the moment. Had nothing to do with the truth. What's the big deal? You've lied. You told me you were 1 pound lighter than you really were when I asked how much you weighed. That's a lie. Who cares if I was seeing someone else behind your back after telling you that there's nobody else and never would be anyone else? That's none of your business. And you don't need to know about it. I'm the Narcopath. I get what I want.
If you can't understand that, well then you didn't deserve to be with me anyway. Oh, you can't have what you want. You can have me and nobody else. If I even catch you looking at someone else, it's over.
That's right. Never mind, I slept with them and their mother and sister. It's not for you to know. Your fault. You shouldn't have done what you done. You shouldn't have checked up on me, just believe me. We'd still be together if you would have. We'd be married, and I'd be out all the time when you were working. Ooh, yes, I'd have all I needed. I'd have my double D's. Oh, I'm giving you the confessions. It's time you knew. There you go.
I wish you were a stranger I could disengage. You said that we agree and never change. Oh damn, that we all get along. This guy, find another friend and he didn't come. As you do the argument in the game come. Without a sound, it's tight ground in the world around. If thought that you wanted to bring it down, I won't let it go down. So should I feel that cause I'm in over my head, with 8 seconds left in overtime. She's on your mind, she's on your mind. Everyone knows she's on your mind. Everyone knows I'm in over my head.